Welcome, and thank you for joining LPG Talks Live. My name is André Pimentel, and I'm with ANOVA, the remote monitoring partner and industry council member of the World LPG Association. It is a great pleasure that I'm hosting the 6th edition of the LPG Talks Live series. And we had many registrations for this session. So thank you all for signing up and tuning in today. And of course, for your interest in this session and in the LPG week. Let me just remind that this is an WLPGA meeting and is therefore governed by WLPGA statutes, specifically our antitrust guidelines, which prohibits the discussion of commercial sensitive information such as pricing, volumes, market share, etc. And today, we have a very exciting session focused on the LPG week and on how you can energize your LPG week experience that will take place in the exciting Dubai from December 5th to December 9th. If you have registered already, I'm sure you'll take advantage of today's session to make the best out of the LPG week. If you have not registered, you'll be able to learn a lot about the LPG week program, about the speakers, the exhibition, and side events. I do remind you that those that are not registered, you are still able to take advantage of the early bird registration fee until September 22nd, so only 1 week left. In today's session, we will have a panel that will share their experiences and tips for LPG Week 2021 in Dubai. We will also have a Q&A session in the end, so feel free to submit your questions on the chat or through the Q&A boxes. Last but not least, stand a chance to win a free delegate pass to the LPG Week 2022 that will be held in India. Stay tuned throughout this webinar. The winner will be drawn at the end of the webinar. If you are not online and you are selected, you won't be able to claim it. So stay tuned. I'm super excited with the great agenda we have today, and thank you again for joining us. And to kick off our session, I am pleased to welcome Henry Coven, President of the World LPG Association and Managing Director to the BCC LPG. Welcome, Henry, and thank you so much for joining us today and kicking off our session.
Thanks, Andre, and good morning, good afternoon to you all, and thank you again for the invitation to join you today to showcase LPG Week in December. And for me, I'm not exaggerating when I say that LPG Week is an incredibly important event for the industry. We've just spent the last 18 months doing a super day-to-day job delivering LPG to key communities in rural areas around the world in a time of real crisis. But meantime, while our heads have been down, the world has changed. Consumers are buying in different ways, people are working more flexibly, and climate change is impacting on communities and has become top of the agenda for policymakers. The conference, the week we're going to spend together in Dubai, gives us a fantastic opportunity to stand back, to understand and debate these changes, and to reflect on what we must do as an industry, as participants in our industry. We must reflect on what we must do as leaders in our industry, what we should do within our individual businesses, and what we should do collectively back in our countries as an industry collectively. We'll hear from a super range of speakers over the week, setting out how our world is changing in areas such as propane supply, in technology, in new renewable gases, and how policymakers are viewing the future energy mix. But for me, it's not just the formal presentations. There is also huge value in the informal side of the conference, meeting other people from our industry and seeing new technology in action in the exhibition. And to gain from all of this, you really have to be there in person. And for me, every time I've been to an LPGA conference, I've come back with a number of really valuable ideas on how I will develop our businesses. I've brought back new ways of connecting with customers. I have seen how apps can be used by cylinder customers. I've seen how bio-LPG is viable and key to our future. And I've understood energy policy better and given better support to our local trade associations. And I've met many new business partners. The value of all of this is thousands of times greater than the actual cost of being at the conference. And this year, given the huge changes coming into our industry and for our customers, my personal view is it would be a real mistake not to be there. we have to be there to understand what energizing tomorrow really means. So I suggest you put the conference firmly in your diaries. You look to make your travel arrangements. Airlines are now taking bookings on an easy to cancel basis, and you can be really sure, as we'll cover later in this session, that the event will be fully compliant with COVID precautions. On this basis, I really look forward to seeing you all there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you. Looking forward to see you there too. Before we start the panel discussion, let's launch a poll to understand what you are looking forward to most at the LPG Week 2021 in Dubai. So here it is. So what are you looking forward to most? Is it networking, learning from session content and speakers, seeing and experiencing Dubai, doing business in person or online? What's most important for you and your company and your business? Do let us know. Results should be appearing any minute now. Just let wait a little bit more. We normally close at 80%, around 80% response rate. So we should be reaching that quickly. If you have not voted, please do so. And can we close the poll? And here's the results. Not surprising. So to be honest, networking, it's obviously it's number one, very close, followed closely by learning from sessions, content, and speakers, which in the LPG weeks are always extraordinary. Doing business is also important, but I think that's a little bit into the networking piece. So let's move into our panel discussion. And now let me start by introducing who we'll have with us today. First, I'm going to present Rebecca Ball, Marketing and Communications Manager at Cavagna Group. Hi, Rebecca. Thank you for being with us today.
Hi, Andre. Thanks for having me.
We also have David Appleton, Vice President, Argus Media. Hi, David. Nice to see you again.
Hi, Andre. Hi, WLPJ colleagues and attendees.
We have with us Esther Asus, Events Director of the World LPG Association. Hi, Esther. Sorry, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. Good catch.
No worries.
Hi, Andre. Good to see you again and happy to be here, and welcome to everybody listening in today.
Well, thank you, Esther. And last but not least, you have James Rockwell, CEO and Managing Director of the World LPG Association. Hi, James.
Hi, Andre, and hello, everybody. Very much looking forward to this session today.
Great, thank you. Thanks, James. Thank you, all of you. So let's start with a quick one. So for each one of you, James, Rebecca, David, Esther, name your top standout moments from previous LPG Weeks event. James, we can start with you.
Well, thanks, Andre. Yeah, you know, this year it's going to be my 19th consecutive LPG World Forum. And it's true to say that I have really many standout moments. But I've given it some thought. And I think for me, the one that I'd really like to share was in Singapore in 2015, when we launched a program called Cooking for Life, a program that had the objective of switching 1 billion people to cooking with LPG by 2030. And this program was picked up by the Indian industry and government, and it inspired them to launch a program called Ujjwala that I think many of the delegates or many of the people watching this webinar may have heard of. But it's probably the single most impressive LPG development project that's taken place in the world in the last 10 years. The Indian government's managed to switch about 85 million households to LPG in that time. 85 million households in India is about 500 million people, or 500 million. And they have dramatically improved the livelihoods of 500 million people. And it's coming as a direct result of something that we launched in LPG Week, or what was then the World LPG Forum. This is the power of content coupled with effective delivery that proves that LPG Week works.
Thanks, James. That's a good standout moment. Rebecca, your standout moment from previous LPG weeks?
So in the last 6 years that I've been in the LPG industry, I've attended 4 out of the 6. So I think I'm probably the rookie of the panel today. But I think back on those events with really very fond memories. So working for an Italian company, I have to also pick Florence in 2016, which was my first WLPGA forum and also my favorite. It was a combined event with the AEGPL at the time, so we had a very large attendance. Considering that the event was moved somewhat last minute, it was organized perfectly considering. I also remember that there was a roundtable about the role of LPG in the energy future, chaired by BBC's energy and environmental analyst. And I think even 5 years later, that is more relevant than ever. So, of course, I have to mention also the gala dinner in Florence inside the Uffizi with the opera singers. So I think that the forum and the social events represented Italy and the industry very well.
Thanks, Rebecca. Thank you. David, your standout moments from previous LPG week?
Yeah, I guess I have mid-level experience in terms of the World LPG Forum and LPG Week, having gone to, I think, 11 in total. I have one very specific event, which was really quite special, was when in 2013 the event was in London and Princess Anne was given the keynote address, and she gave a really good speech there. But actually what was really nice about that was just meeting her. She was an absolutely lovely lady and was really welcoming, and she came to our booth and had a good chat, and it was really the sort of thing that only happens at a global event like LPG Week. So that was really nice. Just one more general thing, when I think back to throughout all the events, and what I remember is just the amount of different things I've learned about different LPG markets around the world. And there'll always be people there from countries you don't see anywhere else, and you can really have a better understanding about how those LPG markets are functioning, what's interesting about them, whether they're growing, and so forth. So, and just having those conversations on the side of the conference is always fantastic. So those are my two.
Thanks, David. Thanks for sharing. Esther, your standout moment.
Yeah, thank you so much, Andre. Well, I think you have mentioned, the panel has mentioned already so many standout moments. And I also think that my perception of a standout moment may be different than yours, or even the people dialing in today, as I'm so much involved in the organization. I have many as well, as James mentioned. I will say two. I would say the gala dinner in Morocco, where we built this Bedouin village in the desert, which I think from an experience perspective of the participants was really fantastic. The networking taking place in a totally different setting that, according to me, participants are used to, who meet each other in meeting rooms, etc. So I really thought that the local touch was really well represented. And then, of course, I need to refer to ELPG Week. I think it was exceptional what we were able to do, and not only we at WLPGA, but the support from the industry that we had in the first wave of the pandemic, where really all events were canceled, and we really had to think what we would do. And we took the opportunity to roll out a virtual event. We had the incredible support from the industry. It was a fully new format at the time, broadcasted from a studio in Paris, like a TV show. We had exceptional online participation, as well as keynotes and speakers. The learning and the networking, which just came out as well in the poll that we had, as well as the business, were really represented. So exceptional outcomes in a time where meetings were virtually held at the scale of LPG Week, and where other events were not in place at the time. So that's my input for your question.
Thanks, Esther. I mean, they were all great standout moments. I'm going to make a request to the audience. If you want to share your standout moments from previous LPG Week, please do so in the chat box, or feel free to reach out to the team. It would be great for us to hear from you, your standout moments. And moving into the questions, Rebecca, first one is for you. Describe the benefits you and Cavani Group have derived from exhibiting and partnering with LPG Week events in the past.
Okay, so Cavani Group, as an equipment manufacturer, has been a WLPGA member since 1998. but the group has actually been attending since the first ever event in San Francisco in 1988. Not me, because actually that's the year I was born, so it's better not to work that out. Our sales team have jam-packed agendas during the event, so networking meetings completely full, which can only mean good things every event. Being an international company where 93% are exports, this event is a place where we get to collate every partner and customer that we have, that we value, all into one place, and there isn't really anywhere else that we're able to do that. So LPG Week is the platform that we need to showcase ourselves and our products. The group being in the industry for so many years now, when Davide or Rino Cavagna walk through the exhibition hall, it would probably take them 2 hours to walk from end to end. So the networking possibilities are really endless. We are also spread so across the globe with so many specific area managers in different areas. We're always so many people in attendance at our booth, but that's because we cover so many countries. And we really want to guarantee the presence and their specific manager. So everybody is looking forward to go, and not just to the luxurious location, which is of course a benefit, but to be able to meet all of our customers in one place and really get a feel for the mood of the industry. So not just talking numbers and figures, but from chatting with other top industry players. So the input and the needs from the market are constantly changing. And when we get to speak and really hear what the industry is looking for at these events, it's also important for us to have a story to tell every time we go there, one that mimics the future of our energy. So how we progress and network together helps keep the sustainability of LPG for the future. So we're all in that one together. The relationships with our customers is something that is really very important to the group, which mimics the family values of the company. And finally, the intelligence and information that we collect is very valuable to our development too. When we return from the event, we do a briefing about what we've learned, what we didn't learn, what we can improve on. So for us, LPG Week doesn't finish after the week is over. This is where we really focus on what we gained during LPG Week. So feedback on products, new contacts, feedback on the booth, highlights from the Congress. And even before the event, we also have a long plan. So where we send out specific information and meetings about the event. So LPG Week for us is more like LPG month.
Thanks, Rebecca. And that's a great history from Cavagna and from the benefits that I've derived from LPG Weeks. I always remember since I joined the LPG industry to see Cavagna very, very strong in these events. And so based on that and knowing that from the past, when you look into LPG Week 2021 in Dubai, why are you looking forward? And more specifically, what are you looking forward to the most, or Cavagna in general?
So I think what will mimic the poll that you just did. This year has obviously been year and a half has been very challenging for everybody, but also in the lack of seeing each other that we all consider friends during the year's roundup. So I think this year will be extra special. I think we will all really appreciate the time that we are able to spend together inside the expo and out of it. In regards to the Middle East is also an important and prominent area. We have many business partners, good friends, and to be able to be here, we're also showing support for that area. This is actually the first in-person LPG Week. So last year's LPG Week was great. So we're expecting it to be even better and busier than ever. So the social part of our business acumen is something that we really all enjoy. It's the fun part, basically. So it's a week without sleep, but it's working. And Cavagna is moving with the digital transformation. So a little bit of a spoiler, but so is our booth this year. As an effect of the pandemic, we will have less physical products and more digital. We expect to see a lot of digital, products, digital booths, and I think it will be quite the change, but yet a step towards the future. And we'll also have less physical presence, but it's also a new way of presenting ourselves. But being able to also follow the event online and review the sessions is something that we haven't been able to do before, so that's a great advantage to us. We'd also like to see, will we be able to go back to how we were before, or will we have all completely changed? So There's many different events available within LPG. There's also the in-person launch of the Youth Council. So there's many different events and sessions to attend while you're there. And finally, we're all looking forward to the social events. So this year may be without handshakes, but I guess we'll replace those with elbow bumps instead.
Definitely. Thanks, Rebecca. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
I do remember one of the first persons from the industry I met was Miriam Cavani, actually. So I just wanted to share. I think it was a good point. So moving into Esther, now a couple of questions for you. Could you tell us more a little bit about what to expect, especially for those that are still not registered and they want to understand a little bit better what's this this next event? What to expect at the LPG Week in 2021, Dubai's exhibition?
So the exhibition, Andre, we have been, of course, to comply with the COVID rules and regulations locally, the exhibition has been extended from a space point of view. It's the biggest space that we've had so far, spacing out of the booths, but also the booth sizes have been changed from 6 square meters. We can only have 9 square meters to respect the social distancing. And the aisles, I believe, will be over 3 meters wide. So I guess you will easily cover your 10,000 steps a day. What is new is that it's a fully hybrid event. So it will combine the best of the in-person, but also of the virtual event, meaning that you have access to a worldwide audience, same for the networking on-site and online, but not only with the participants, but also with the visitors, which generally join from the country where the event is taking place. But this time, as you will have the virtual event taking place at the same time, and as an exhibitor, you will have an online profile as well. Basically, you will be able to access a wider group of people. Within the exhibition, we maintain what, according to us, and also what we receive from the feedback from our participants, are the very popular features, and that really enhance the networking, the business, but also the learning aspect with the EE stage presentations from various companies. And we're also using the snapshots, which are driven content by the WLPGA team. So these two features will take place and will continue. And of course, there's the online e-stage presentations as well. I believe we had for ELPG Week around 37 presentations online from companies, which means that if you're an exhibitor in Dubai, you can also see the content which is broadcasted online. The last thing that I wanted to mention is not the exhibition itself, but really Dubai as an exceptional venue. It represents a strong business. Dubai is a key player in the energy field, and I believe that the economic indicators are showing some recovery. The future is looking positive, and I think it's important to be represented at LPG Week and in the exhibition of the event, as this is really the hub. It's the hub where the business, where the networking, and where all the interaction will take place.
Thanks, Esther. And now looking a little bit into the poll and being networking with 44%, one of the things that people are most looking for. Can you provide us more detail regarding the networking events?
Sure. Indeed, the networking, and it's not only in this poll, but also a couple of years ago, we did a very wide survey, and what came back as the most interesting feature, one of the most interesting features of the World LPG Forum at the time, was indeed the networking. So we have been able to maintain our traditional networking events, which of course is the exhibition opening cocktail, which kicks off the event where the delegates and the exhibitors really start their discussions, and this is taking place within the exhibition space. We have our traditional members dinner, which is for WLPGA members only. It's a bit in a smaller setting, really in a more familiar way of people coming back together again and having a nice chat and a drink in a really nice view on the Dubai skyline. I think the highlight of the week is the gala dinner. As you can see on the slide shown, it will be at the Armani Pavilion, which is at the bottom of the Burj Khalifa. And the Burj Khalifa is the highest tower of the world. And you will have this view on this magnificent fountain, water fountain, that you may have seen already in the video that we launched in the beginning. Now, these are what I call the main social events. Networking takes place basically everywhere, in the corridors, when you walk out a session, when you take your coffee break within the exhibition space. From people that have been to LPG Week previously or the World LPG Forum, you will see that it's really the gathering of people within the corridors. They will sit down, they will have a chat, they will have a coffee, they will continue the discussions. If they come out from the GTC, which is really specific information for our stakeholders, they will continue this discussion on the way. So networking events, I just showed you a couple of them, but I'm sure there are many more to come.
Thanks, Esther. Thanks. Really looking forward. I'm sure all the attendees are actually getting very excited with the events that are always excellent in LPG events. And moving on into David. David, you have spoken many times in LPG weeks in the past. What has this meant for Argus Media as well as for you, personally?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So Argus, if I go back, quite a few years, the company made a decision as this event has grown that we needed to be more present, particularly vis-a-vis the attendees 10 years ago, which I think was more downstream than it is now. I think it's much more global and across the value chain at this point. And my predecessors, and I was just looking at the registration list today, and I think some of the people on this webinar will know these names, people like Nick Black and Peter Caddy, used to say, we have to be involved in this event because the market is growing, there is a changing profile of where LPG is used, and Argus, as a company which provides key data across the world, particularly in pricing, but also in fundamentals, needed to showcase that. So I've been very fortunate that I've played a role that has been connected to that specific aim. And this really ties in with the fact that the conference itself is a great place to do that and have those discussions. And across the years, I think we've had some really good debates about the future of the industry, about where the supply is coming from, what's hindering demand and stuff, with players on the market, people like Henry Cubbon and other guys who are on the supply side, and also even Argus's competitors, which is always really interesting to exchange views on. So the conference itself offers that opportunity to get that picture of what is happening and what is going to happen, both in terms of how the markets are evolving, but also not so much my thing, but some of the more technical stuff and some of the initiatives which are specific to given sectors. So yeah, it's been really important for Argus to position itself in that way. And then also for me, myself, I'll give you one more kind of amusing anecdote around the personal development. I actually moved to Argus and had my first interview with Argus at a World LPG Forum. And so while I'm not suggesting that companies send their staff with the aim of losing them, it does show the opportunities that arise at these kinds of events. So yeah, it's definitely a really good thing to be involved in. Thanks,
Nick. That's a great, incredible story. And following on the importance, why is it important to hear these industry leaders, influencers, and experts in an event as global as LPG Week?
Yeah, so as James always says, you just need one idea to make it worth your while. And Henry just mentioned that he's had loads of ideas which have done so. And I think coming to hear the conference speakers is a big part of that. There's always a big effort within the WLPGA to really be on the edge of the zeitgeist about what's going on in the industry, the new initiatives and everything from technologies to new areas of demand to specific markets. LPG has changed a lot over the past 10 years. It's among oil and gas products, it's the one which has basically grown the most and is having probably the most success at this point, despite being a relatively small part of that mix. So things are always changing. What was expanding yesterday may not be anymore, and staying on top of that by coming to this event is really an easy way to get that information. I think there are a lot of, and have in the past been a lot of LPG events around the globe. Some of them are very, very good, but they're usually quite regional. And they're usually focused on specific markets or say specific segments, be it the traders or the petrochemical guys or something like this. This is really the one which brings everybody together. So coming to hear those different opportunities is really, really a good idea. And I always look forward to it. It's certainly a highlight of my year in terms of keeping on top of what's been happening in the market.
Thanks, David. Thanks. Could not agree more. And Esther, what should be expected at LPG in 2021 Dubai? I mean, how will the sessions run? What will happen this year?
Thank you, Andre. Well, the sessions will be run in a hybrid way. Basically, the whole event will be hybrid, and I touched upon that earlier on when I mentioned the exhibition. What it is in practice is that basically we're making two events. We're having an event online on the event swap card platform that we also use for ELPG Week, and then of course we're running our event in person. It means that if you can't join as an in-person attendee, you can sign up as an online attendee, but you will still have the networking, the learning, and every other feature of LPG Week. So basically, as I mentioned, we're having two events for the event stakeholders. You can be in a discussion with your colleagues and not be able to attend the session. That's not a problem. You can log into the platform later on. As for ELPG Week, we will also maintain the platform open after the event. So the content will remain available. So basically, it's the new, the way we will run events, I think, for the future. It's really the lesson that we have learned from the pandemic, I would say.
So Esther, attend in person or virtual? What's your recommendation?
It's a tricky question, Andre. I think that nothing really tops being in person at an event. It's a whole different experience, and I already showed that a bit with the networking social events that we're putting in place. However, I think that having the possibility to sign up as an online attendee will give companies the possibility to share the learning with their teams. Traditionally, not a whole team can travel to the destination. And before the virtual events, these people did not have access to the content. So I think signing up a part of your team in person and a part of your team online is definitely the solution for companies. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful. David, why is it important for Argus Media to partner with LPG Week and to gain sponsorship exposure at LPG Week 2021?
Yeah, so being involved in the sponsorship level has been really interesting across the years, and we've done a number of things which I think have firstly been good for our general branding. We are very, very well known. However, there are always companies who might be attending for the first time who we want to know who we are and what we do. So there's that element to it. But there's also been some good things in terms of the functionality of sponsorships. In particular, we had a year when we were involved in the Wi-Fi sponsorship, which allowed people to end up on our homepage when they logged into the Wi-Fi. Which as a digital business, that was ideal for us and helped drive some traffic and so forth. So it's really good to have that connection to the event, which even brings in direct leads and so forth. And then alongside that, I put within sponsorship, also we are involved in the exhibition, which we find really, really useful because it gives us our own dedicated space to sit down with people. Sometimes people we know very well who we're just catching up with and just checking in to see how things are going. And then a number of times we have met completely new clients and customers and had that opportunity to do new business since we became involved in the exhibition. So there's a lot of different benefits between this connection to the event beyond just the conference, which was at the beginning we were more involved in that, and now it's quite all encompassing for us.
And that's very helpful. Rebecca, Cavagna stands are also very often very appealing. Where can people find Cavagna within this LPG week?
Good question. We are located close to the entrance of the exhibition. The numbers are 143, 144, 149, 150. So we have a big booth. So it will be quite digital this year.
That's great. Looking forward to seeing you there. Esther, another one for you. How do we sign up?
Yeah, I just want to say to Rebecca, you're so detailed. It's fantastic. I'm sure that everybody will be able to find the booth with the booth numbers that you just provided. Otherwise, otherwise, really go to the LPG Week website. And I think that's a nice segue into your question, Andre. On the LPG Week website, basically, you can find all the information regarding the event. You will see the exhibition floor plan, the number of companies that signed up, the sponsors, the content of the sessions, everything. So specifically to sign up, you can see it on the slides on your screen. Just connect to register. Then you come to a registration platform. You have to fill in some of your details. You can also book your accommodation, and I really would like to stress the fact that accommodation, we have some rooms reserved for you, but they come on a first come, first served basis. Registration, as was mentioned in the beginning, we're still having the early bird rate valid until next week. So don't miss the opportunity to sign up, book your accommodation, and join us in Dubai. Now, if you're not interested in signing up as a delegate, or maybe you have done so already, on the same page, you can also book your participation as a partner, which can be an exhibitor or a sponsor or an advertiser. Now, if this is all too complicated, you can also just send me an email. Happy to help you out if needed, and looking forward to seeing you, of course, in Dubai. Thank you, Andre.
Thanks. What an amazing action-packed event that we are looking for. In last year's ELPG Week, we have quite a few incredible keynote speakers and panelists. James, what can we expect from the program this year?
Well, thanks, Andre, for the question. It's LPG Week. First, it's a massive opportunity for everybody who takes part. And the poll at the beginning of this webinar showed that most people value networking opportunities, but it was closely followed by content. And I think it's important to recognize that, as they say, content is king. LPG Week offers the chance really to gain unique insights into the global LPG business, to get intelligence on the sector that you can't otherwise get, and take away new ideas that can be applied in your own business. I think you should see this clearly as giving you a competitive advantage in your business. As President Henry Cubbon said right at the beginning, just one innovation learned through this event can literally save you or earn you millions. And we do have a lot of anecdotal evidence that this is indeed the case. I mentioned Singapore in 2015, which led to an Indian LPG expansion project that impacted 500 million people. So we've got lots of examples of these kind of things from previous events. What will emerge from Dubai? Well, you're going to have to come and see to see how it will impact you, but undoubtedly it will. So we have great keynote speakers, as always. So leaders of our businesses from around the world, but we're also going to have key influencers, such as government ministers, the head of the World Energy Council, the head of the UN Renewable Energy Agency, and many, many more. And also in 2021, we're going to see a change of leadership at the WLPGA with a new president being elected. Now, you want to understand what the vision of our new president is? Well, this is another reason to get yourself to Dubai. The theme this year, as I think you've seen, is Energizing Tomorrow, which is a subject which I think is both highly topical wherever you are in the world, but it's also very relevant to our own industry, because we sincerely believe that the best years for LPG lie ahead of us. In the post-COVID world, how can we ensure a clean, secure, affordable, and accessible energy for all? This is for me the kind of vision of the energy future. And what will be the contribution of LPG to this energy future? What do we expect from government, and what should we be doing ourselves to realize the opportunities that are emerging from this? And more specifically, following an opening high-level roundtable on the subject, Energizing Tomorrow, this theme will kind of flow like a red thread all the way through all the strategic sessions that we have in full plenary during the week. But in addition to these strategic sessions, we also have a real content-packed week with side events covering issues from autogas to LPG for development, from new technology with our annual global LPG technology conference, to smarter businesses, from future supply and demand through to the renewable LPG outlook. We will have the annual LPG Challenge, which brings together innovators from across the world. But we'll also have the inaugural WLPGA Youth Council meeting. And that should really get you excited about the future of our business. And I'd just like to say a thank you to Mike Ferrari and Priyanka Shaw. I hope they're on this webinar, the two co-chairs of the Youth Council, for all the energy and support that they've put into this. And of course, Rebecca, one of our panelists, is also involved in that Youth Council. We'll have interactive sessions, which we call power plays, which will allow the delegates also to get involved in shaping our future direction through a series of moderated breakouts covering things like power generation or beyond the LPG molecules. You know, where we're going to, what future molecules maybe can be put through the same infrastructure that we have in place. You heard already from Esther that we're offering a hybrid solution this year, which means that all of this content is available in live streaming and also on repeat. But I really, really want to emphasize that nothing beats the in-person experience, where you can have the opportunity not just to listen to somebody, but to go to that person afterwards and have deeper and exclusive discussions with that person over coffee or over a cocktail. Now, at the end of this webinar, we're going to show a short video that details everything that you can expect out of all the side events, so stay tuned for that. But I'd like to end just by saying that if you have any stake in the LPG sector, wherever you are in the world, you really can't afford to miss LPG Week. You should not think of it as a cost. You should think of it as an investment in the future of your business. And if you look at all the investments that you make in your business, this is actually a very small investment for what is potentially a very, very large return. Would you be happy knowing that your competitors are at LPG Week, getting all this information, having access to this fantastic network, if you're not there? So what I would say to you is realize your competitive advantage in this LPG world with huge future opportunities, and make sure that you register for LPG Week.
Thanks, James. Thank you. That's a great overview of the program for this year's LPG Week. And if people were not excited, it would be surprising. I'm pretty much sure everyone is excited now. And the last teaser question, it's really So let's open now the floor for the questions from the audience. I already have, so feel free to reach out in the chat box or in the Q&A box. I already have a couple of questions. And the first question is for Esther. So Esther, will World LPG Association assist participants in acquiring the Dubai visa?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of questions from the audience, not only from the audience, but also from people that are signing up or hesitating probably to sign up. Yes, there is indeed some assistance in getting the visa for your access to Dubai. There is normally on LPG Week website, there is a part where you can ask for an invitation letter, because that's probably what the person who is asking the question is referring to. So yes, there is some assistance.
Great. And just along with this visa question, I'm also getting a few queries regarding the travel. Where can people go to get most up-to-date information regarding traveling, visas, and all of this?
So regarding traveling into Dubai, I would advise going to the DTCM website, and maybe we can share this. And I think, thank you so much, Tamsin, it's already in the chat box. When you go to that website, there is a feature which is relative to the coronavirus, and you will see what is requested for coming into Dubai. So basically, it will be a negative test. And then depending on the country you're flying in from, you will need to be tested on site. And that will be done at the airport, and you will get the result within 6 hours. I also want to say that Dubai is really a safe destination. Of course, you have to comply with what's requested from the country where you're living from, but there will be the social distancing. We will be providing face masks. We will be providing the hydroalcoholic gels, and et cetera, et cetera. So from our side, we will really put everything in place that I think everybody's putting in place for themselves now to ensure that you have a safe LPG week experience.
Thanks, Esther. Thanks. I don't think there is a lot more questions. So feel free to reach out with your questions if you have. If we are not able to answer, we will be answering them afterwards. And
Andre,
so,
I may want to add to, because I can also understand there may be some uncertainty regarding the travel or signing up for LPG Week. You can indeed, if you sign up for the in-person event, you can change to an online registration and vice versa. I just want that to make clear to people. So if you're hesitant, know that you have the possibility to change your registration category, and that whatever category you choose, the difference will be refunded, or you will just be asked to, of course, an additional fee. And that can be done until a relatively short time before the event. So that should, and then also, of course, many airline companies are now giving the opportunity when you book your flights to make it a flexible ticket with a refund or a voucher if you can't make it for whatever reason. On the LPG Week website, rather shortly, you will have a whole COVID protocol page dedicated to everything that we will put in place, which airlines provide this flexibility, etc. So, sorry, I've been hijacking a bit your time, but I think it was important to to let the people listening in today know.
That's super important, Esther. Thank you for jumping in. And so just before closing, as promised, we will have our prize drawing. So this is a free delegate pass to LPG Weeks 2022 in India. And so we will be providing, so hopefully you are still tuned. And the winner is Yoko Higashi from Astomos Energy Corporation. So congratulations, Yoko. We'll get in touch with you shortly to work on the details, and looking forward to seeing you in India. So congratulations, Yoko Higashi. And this wraps up our session today. This was a super interesting session, and we got to know about some of the features of LPG Week. I'm personally very excited to be in the LPG Week, as always. I hope you are equally excited and have a better sense of what is on offer, how the event will run, you know, all the measures around COVID and traveling, and what you can do to maximize the event for you, either in person, live, or online, or both, hybrid, as Esther suggested. I want to thank you all for being with us today and for your interest in this edition of the LPG Talks Live, and of course, in LPG Week, one of the best events in the LPG industry. If you are looking to participate in the LPG industry events, of course, don't forget to register. Right now, until 22nd of September, early bird registration fees are still applicable, so do register and make the best of it. Also, I would like to say a very special thank you to Henry, to Rebecca, David, Esther, and James for being with us here today. In case you want to share today's session with your colleagues and get them also excited about LPG Week, I'm happy to inform you that this session was recorded and will be available to all of you. We're also launching the normal exit poll, so stay tuned and provide us some feedback And stay tuned in the social media because the videos that we're discussing as the follow-up will be launching very shortly. Thank you all. Looking forward to seeing you in Dubai for the LPG week in December. Stay safe.